You ever notice how some people go completely quiet during an argument? No shouting, no defense, just silence. Let's talk about why, backed by psychology and emotional regulation science. One, silence is not always avoidance. According to psychologists, it's often a self regulation mechanism. When conflict triggers the fight or flight response, the nervous system floods with stress hormones, cortisol, and adrenaline. Some people's instinct is not to fight, but to freeze. Their silence isn't weakness, it's their brain trying to prevent emotional overflow. Two, emotional flooding. This term, coined by relationship researcher John Gottman, describes what happens when someone becomes so overwhelmed during conflict that rational thinking shuts down. Their heart rate spikes, breathing changes, and the brain shifts from logic to survival. When that happens, talking feels impossible, words just won't come out, so they retreat into silence to protect themselves from saying something they'll regret. Three, the power imbalance effect. Psychologists found that people who feel emotionally or socially overpowered, like when arguing with an authority figure or a dominant partner, often stay silent out of perceived futility. They've learned that speaking up doesn't change the outcome. Silence becomes a learned survival strategy, not a lack of opinion. Four, attachment style plays a huge role. In attachment psychology, avoidant types withdraw when tension rises. They fear being engulfed or losing control, so they protect their autonomy through distance. Anxious types, on the other hand, often chase communication. So when silence meets pursuit, conflict deepens, not because one doesn't care, but because both feel unsafe in different ways. Five, silence as control. Sometimes quiet isn't about fear, it's about power. In conflict psychology, this is called strategic withdrawal. By withholding a reaction, a person can regain emotional or social control, forcing the other to reveal more. It's not always conscious manipulation. Sometimes it's the brain's way of saying, I'll speak when it's safe. Six, the cultural and upbringing factor. In some households, confrontation equals danger. Children who grow up in volatile homes often learn that staying quiet keeps the peace. That pattern carries into adulthood. Their silence isn't passivity, it's conditioning. It's how they learn to survive emotional chaos. Psychological timeout. Therapists often recommend silence as a cool down strategy, not as punishment, but as emotional recalibration. When someone says, I need space, they're giving their prefrontal cortex time to come back online. In that pause, they're processing emotions and forming clearer thoughts. It's the healthiest form of silence, intentional, not defensive. Eight, the danger zone, the silent treatment. There's a difference between silence for peace and silence for power. The first regulates emotion, the second controls others. Psychologists call this stonewalling, and it's one of the strongest predictors of relationship breakdown. It shuts off empathy and signals withdrawal from connection. Nine, how to respond when someone goes quiet. Instead of saying, why aren't you talking? Try, I see you need space. Let's talk when you're ready. This approach lowers defensiveness, restores safety, and invites genuine conversation. It shows that silence isn't punished, it's respected. The mindset shift to silence during conflict doesn't always mean weakness, coldness, or manipulation. Sometimes it's emotional intelligence in disguise, the wisdom to pause rather than explode. Psychology teaches us that calm is not apathy, it's self-command, so the next time someone goes silent during an argument, remember, they might not be avoiding you, they might be protecting both of you from what unregulated anger can destroy. If this helped, hit like and subscribe.